Welcome to the Dowden Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today we are going to talk about why, if you are in your early to mid 20s, then right now is the perfect time for you to start to take risks and really fully explore that full potential. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. That way, you don't miss any weekly episodes and posts. You can find video of this episode strictly on YouTube, but the audio everywhere else. Now, when it comes to this topic as a whole, there is a lot of 50-50 responses to it, and I understand why. Because when you are a 20-year-old, more than likely you want to party, you want to go out, you want to stay out late, you want to do the normal things a quote unquote 20-year-old should do. But in all reality, this is the time that you really need to realize that you are in your prime. And if you want to experience new things, you want to try things, you want to reach your full potential and see who you really are, then now is the time to do it. Because you see, most, not all, but most 20-year-olds right now, they're just going out and partying. They're just doing random stuff. They're staying out late, working a 9 to 5, spending all their money on the weekends. They're not worrying about where their future's taking them. They don't care about college, showing up to school. They're not worried about that. And if that's how they want to live, that's okay. But personally, I don't, and more than likely, you don't either. So today we are not only going to talk about why you need to start taking those risks, but how you can start doing it right now. So you see, when I was growing up, a lot of my friends were a lot older than me because, I've just been so mature for my age. And it's literally been like that my entire life. When I was 16, 17 years old, I was going out to those college parties. I was doing that crazy stuff. And because of that, I realized a lot of things. And the biggest thing was that when you turn 20, when you are 20, 21, 22, even 26, right now is the time that you need to be taking risks and really exploring who you are. Because there's been way too many times where I've gone to a high school party and I've seen a 26 or 27-year-old who's there not doing anything, just drinking. Like, you should be out exploring the world. You should be trying to see what you want to do with the rest of your life. If you are in your mid 20s right now, this is the time to pave the way for your future. If you want to go out and drink, you want to party, you don't want to focus on your future life, that's okay. By all means, do you. But for the people, like I said, who don't want to do that, then this is your time. This is your opportunity to take those risks and really go find that true potential. Now is the time to go travel, go study abroad, go start that business, go start that clothing brand. Go try to become that next streamer or big content creator. Because when you're 30 or 40 years old, those priorities and responsibilities are going to change. You might have a kid. You might have a solid 9 to 5 to where you don't have that free time. So right now is that golden hour. Now, I'm not saying that when you're 30, 40 years old, you can't be successful, because there's been times where 70-year-olds have started a new company and have made $1 million businesses. But understand that right now is your golden opportunity. Use it while you can, because you don't have that kid. You might not be married. And if you have zero real responsibilities right now, go use it to your advantage, because in the next 10 years, everything might change. Also, if you take time to take those risks now instead of later, it gives you time to then recover. If you mess up, you then have time. Because, like Gary Vee said, I'm not sure if anybody really is tuned into that, but he is a very big, motivational person, entrepreneur. And he said, somebody asked him, well, if I grind and I grind, what does that do? And he said, well, how old are you? He said, well, I'm 21. He said, dude, you're still young. You can grind for 10 years and you still have your whole life ahead of you. That really changed my perspective, because right now I am only 21 years old. If you are 20, start something, because if you are building that business, You literally have 10 years to try and make that work. And if it doesn't work, you are then only 30 years old. You can still make something happen. You can still change your whole life. You can still be successful at 30 years old. But if you start now, maybe you might reach that $1 million business when you're 30. Because let's say somebody is 30 years old, they're starting that company right now. They're now educating themselves. They're now trying to learn versus you who started that business right now at 20 or 21, who now has been educating themselves. More than likely, you are going to blow. You are going to have that experience. You are going to have that 10 years under your belt because you just went ahead and started. You taught yourself, you educated yourself. And through this, you are now finding your true self. You're finding that passion. You're finding what you want to do. So not only is it going to just help you when it comes to these things, but it's also just going to help you grow. It's going to help you just pave the way for your future because you're educating, you're learning, you're going through these failures, and now you know what to do and what not because you went and tried. You went and took those risks instead of just staying in that comfort zone and just messing around like a lot of these other people. So if you are in your 20s, now is the time to just go and take those risks. Find that different career. Go study abroad. Like we said, go do different things. Don't just hold yourself down because you're not always going to have this time forever. Take those different opportunities, use them wisely because it's not always going to be there. There's been multiple times where hell, I could have been promoted. I could have gotten higher up in my 9 to 5. But if I did that, it would then cause me to stop the podcast or not be able to put as much effort. This is my dream. In 10 years, if this doesn't work, I'll go for that management position. But right now, use your time wisely. Shoot for your dreams. Do what you can, especially in this day and age. We have everything we need. I tell you guys this all the time. This device you are watching me on can literally teach you how to build a $1 million business. Now, it's going to take time, just like everything else, but you can learn everything you need right here in front of you. It's just a matter of you actually doing it and taking those risks. Now, obviously, when it comes to those risks, make sure they're educated. Don't go travel the world and then put yourself in debt. Find the positive and negatives, but just make sure you don't hold yourself down because there is a lot of times where these 20-year-olds will just go and work a desk job. And now all of a sudden they've been stuck there for the next 10 years while their friends are going to Japan, going to Paris, going to Spain. So make sure you really use this opportunity. Don't just let it fly by because these 10 years are going to go quick. If you're having fun, it's going to go by like that. Hell, even if you're working, it's going to go by like that. But just make sure you use it wisely. But with that said, today's quote is by Sarah Parrish. She once said, "Living with fear stops us taking risks. And if you don't go out on the branch, you're never going to get the best fruit." I appreciate you tuning in. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And this is the Dowden Podcasts.